Northeastern part of India has played a very crucial and pivotal role in India's freedom struggle. Rather it be the role of Moje Ribaji from the region of Arunachal Pradesh, Pa Toganji, one of the tribal warriors, Kanaklata Baruaji, and many more. Apart from this, there are many movements that are hidden within the books of history. That is Patharu Ghat massacre in the region of Assam, Pulaguri Dhawa in the region of Assam, one of the peasant revolt, which is also considered as the first non-cooperation, much prior to the non-cooperation conducted by M.K. Gandhi. As you can see in the background, today's point of discussion is one of the most important Mizo warrior whose name was Pasaltha Khuangchera ji. So who was Pasaltha Khuangchera ji? What is the word Pasaltha all about? We are going to understand all these in today's short video. Please stick to the video till the end. Hello everyone, this is Alok Ojha. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. Now, before we understand who was Khuangchera ji, what does the word Pasaltha mean? Let's understand about the Britishers and the English East India Company. Battle of Plassey, it took place in 1757, and Battle of Buxar, it took place in 1764. Just within a span of 7 to 8 years, Britishers have adopted a very brutal policy of expansionism and imperialism, including the northeastern part of India. Apart from this, as per many historians and as per one of the important moderate leaders, Dadabhai Navroji, it is believed that 4.94 million pounds was drained out of India. And this was highlighted in his book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. This was also supported by R.C. Dattaji in his book Economic History of India. After Battle of Buxar, which was fought in 1764, Britishers got the Diwani rights of 3 important places. That is Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. And now Britishers started making inroads into the hills of northeastern part of India. They started moving towards Purvottar Bharat. And one such region was Mizoram, precisely the Lushai Hills. Now, what was the specifically economic life of people in the Lushai Hills? How was the community living? What is the concept of Zawlbuk? Let's explore about that. People in the Lushai Hills, they used to live in the villages, and in a village approximately there were 50 to 300 families. The region was also known as Zo country. Here people, their economy was majorly dependent on agriculture. They practiced shifting cultivation, and apart from this, hunting. The chief of the village was referred as Lal. Now, what is the concept of Zawlbuk? And why did Britishers enter into the northeastern part of India? And what was their basic objective? The basic objective of the, specifically, English East India Company and Britishers entering the northeastern part of India was God and Empire. Now, before we move into the concept of God and Empire, let's understand what is Zawlbuk all about. In the villages in the Lushai Hills, the young men, they used to stay in a house. Rather than saying a house, it was a kind of a dormitory, where specifically the young men of the village, precisely above 10 years of age, they used to stay in that common house, and their basic duty was to maintain peace, law and order in the village, and specifically protect the village from any kind of an enemy attack. And it was not just their duty to maintain law and order, peace, and protect the village from any kind of enemy attack, but it was also an important center of learning. Apart from warfare, scriptures were also taught to them. So it is nothing but it is like the Gurukulam or the Gurukul. And various skills were imparted to the young men who were staying in the Zawlbuk. Let me give you a small example. These men were taught wrestling. Apart from wrestling, specifically, they were also taught community service. So right from the start itself, they had a belief in something called as moral code of conduct, ethical living, then selfless service to the society. And now, with the passage of time, came Charter Act 1813. And as per Charter Act 1813, Christian missionaries were allowed to come in India and preach Christianity. Now, preaching, practicing, professing, and propagating is altogether a different aspect. And imposing Christianity on the people of India is altogether a different aspect. So these Christian missionaries, they started moving towards the northeastern part of India, precisely in the hilly regions of Lushai Hills. And they came to know about the concept of Zawlbuk. And Zawlbuk was not just providing protection to the people of the village and maintaining vigilance. It was also an important center of learning, important center of community service. Now, Christian missionaries, they started schools in these regions. And when they started schools in these regions, many of the youth who were the part of Zawlbuk, they started moving towards the school. Not as the students initially, but as the employed people. And they were getting paid for it. With the passage of time, the Britishers, they started using specifically these people who have moved to the missionary schools. Like on Sundays, a gathering used to be held, and the teachings of Bible were taught. The Gospels of Bible were taught. The stories from Bible were narrated to them. So majority of them started moving from Zawlbuk to the region or to the Christian missionary schools. Now, the Britishers did not stop here. They started burning down these Zawlbuks in different villages across the Lushai Hills. And we started doing that. There were expeditions led by the Mizo and the Mizo leaders in these regions. Apart from this, they started imposing heavy taxation on the people of the northeastern hills. Apart from imposing heavy taxation, it is also believed that the people were forced to perform bonded labor. Now comes the turn of Pasalthas. Now, what is the term Pasaltha all about? Who was Pasaltha Khuangchera ji? Okay, Pasaltha basically means a brave hunter, a hero, a brave warrior. And there were many Pasalthas in the Lushai Hills. One such brave warrior was Pasaltha Khuangchera ji. And Khuangchera ji, he was born in a village called as Parvatui. He had a very good physical stature. He had a very good physical build-up. And very easily he could win the hearts of the people. Why? Because he was a very soft-hearted person. He believed in ethical living. He believed in moral code of conduct. And at that point of time, he wanted to preserve and protect the culture of the hills at any cost from the ignorant attack of Christian missionaries. He aspired to restore back the old order. And at that point of time, the life of Pasaltha Khuangchera ji was an inspiration for the people of Lushai Hills. Now, it is believed that Khuangchera ji, he was also an expert brave hunter. He was expert in guerrilla warfare techniques. And at that point of time, it is said that he was staying in a village called as Changsil. And in a village called as Changsil, it is said that just beside the banks of the river, there were army troops of the Britishers that were stationed here. Khuangchera ji decided to train the young men of the villages. And since they were expert in guerrilla warfare techniques, they were expert in jungle warfare technique, it was decided that they are going to attack the British camps during the night time when they actually did not expect any kind of an attack. So taking the enemy by surprise was a plan by Khuangchera ji and the young men trained by Khuangchera ji. Now, it was a kind of a guerrilla warfare technique that was being followed. Like specifically, they broke all the communication network between Shillong to Kachar, from Changsil to Aizawl. Aizawl means Aizawl, the capital of Mizoram presently. And at that point of time, they started attacking the British troops that were stationed on the banks of the river near Changsil village. Now, one of the British officer whose name was Captain Brown. Captain Brown, he comes to know about this and he starts moving from the region of Shillong. At this point of time, the warrior Khuangchera ji and the young trained men, they had a plan that surprisingly they are going to attack Captain Brown and kill him. As per different historian, it is believed that Captain Brown, he was sitting on his horse And when he was sitting on his horse, he was being attacked by one of the warriors and he was shot. He sustained two deep injuries and he started moving towards the region of Changsil. But he was very severely injured. Now Britishers got alarmed. And now when Britishers got alarmed, what did they do? They started attacking the young warriors who were being trained by Pasaltha Khuangchera ji. At that time, one young man, he was severely wounded and he died on the battlefield in the jungles of Lushai Hills. It is one of the traditions in the hills of it is one of the traditions in the Lushai Hills. If any of the warrior dies on the battlefield, in a very respectful manner, he is carried back to the village. He is not left there itself. Pasaltha Khuangchera ji immediately goes to the warrior. Then he picks up the body of the warrior on one of his shoulders and he starts moving towards the village. Britishers were having an eye on every activity of Pasaltha Khuangchera ji. And when Britishers come to know about this, what did Britishers do? They even attacked Pasaltha Khuangchera ji. Initially, he succumbed to a lot of injuries and he also died in the battlefield. So although Pasaltha Khuangchera ji, he had led many expeditions and he died on the battlefield, but still his ethical principles, his moral code of conduct lives in the hearts of the people. What were the important moral codes of conduct that were being highlighted by Khuangchera ji? Let's explore in short. First, always build your own jhum hut on the main spur of the hill, lest you fall prey to the stalking beast. Then, apart from this, never attack your enemy, human or animal, just because you are not afraid of him. There is a time to attack and time to withdraw. Okay? This is not just the moral or ethical code of conduct. It's also the way of living. Rather than saying more as a part of moral code of conduct or ethical code of conduct, it is the way the society or the community of the people in the Lushai Hills should spend their life all about. Then, never speak to anybody arrogantly, always speaks word of comfort. Simple words, never speak in abusive manner or abusive language to anyone. Last, it is needless to get angry with the women folk whom you have already overcome by nature. So this was a short story of Pasaltha Khuangchera ji, who was a brave hunter, a brave warrior, a person who was inspiration for many and who is inspiration for many even today in the Lushai Hills, precisely in the region of Mizoram. This was a short story of Pasaltha Khuangchera ji, a Mizo warrior. My friend, StudyIQ IAS English has come up with GS Foundation P2I Resolution January batch. Okay? The batches are available in bilingual, that is Hindi plus English, Hindi and core English language that will cater to the needs of the aspirant precisely from the northeastern part of India and southern part of India. And the prices of the batches are starting at 14,999. I repeat, 14,499. So use the code Alok Live that is flashing on your screen to get the benefits of these batches. I repeat the code Alok Live. You can also visit the website of StudyIQ IAS so that you can explore all features of the courses like proper answer writing. All the subjects would be taught to you completely in English, whether it be history, geography, polity, economy, science and tech, ethics, current affairs, and so on. Batches would be conducted in a proper coordinated manner. A mentor would be assigned to you and so on. So use the code Alok Live that is flashing on your screen to get the benefits of these batches. And the admissions would be closing on 15th of January 2026. Okay. So with this, I'll stop my words. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you.